Michael Ledeen is a freedom scholar at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. He's contributing editor at National Review Online. And he's author of more than 20 books. Got a new one coming out before long, don't you, Michael?
It is out.
Oh, is it out?
Just came out 2 days ago.
Ah, well, then I have an excuse.
Michael, well, actually, you don't have an excuse. I mean, you do, because I stole it from you. Michael sent it to you, and I took it. Sorry.
You see, Michael, if I didn't have a show, I wouldn't know a dadgum thing that went on in my own house.
No, if you didn't have a wife, you wouldn't know a thing.
If I didn't have a wife, I'd be getting my own mail. But it wouldn't be worth it. Now we got all that cleared up. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Well, what about it? What's the latest on the Ayatollah? The word, the rumor mill has been going overtime on this, and you've had, of course, as usual, the best analysis of what people are saying is going on. Anyway, what's your latest?
Well, the latest is the oldest. The only thing I know is what I knew on Tuesday when I came out with the story that said that the Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is in a hospital in a coma in Tehran. Mm-hmm. And since then, of course, every imaginable rumor has been running everywhere in the press and on the web, mm-hmm. and so forth. Some people saying he was dead. Some people said no, he's not dead. Nobody knows, as far as I can tell, whether he's alive or dead. And I keep reminding people that when Khomeini died, the first supreme leader, the only other supreme leader in the history of the Islamic Republic of Iran, it was 5 days between the time he died and the time he announced it. So one shouldn't be surprised that they would try to keep it secret for a while if he died, which I don't know. Because they would try to sort out the succession before they announced it, and that's no easy matter.
Who would be doing the sorting in their system, Michael?
Well, the guys at the top. There's a council called Council of Experts, which is headed by the famous Ali Rafsanjani, Hashemi Rafsanjani, who are legally charged with choosing supreme leaders. So it's their job, and Rafsanjani has a very good idea of who he would like the next supreme leader to be. And it's the guy he sees in the mirror every morning when he gets up. So
you didn't say when he's shaving.
No, he's not shaving. He's trimming maybe a little bit. I don't think he's shaving.
What is the profile of Rafsanjani?
Well, it doesn't really matter because he's not going to be supreme leader, and I'm not sure there's going to be any more supreme leaders. The main fact about Iran now is that the regime has lost all legitimacy with the people, and once you've memorized accomplice to evil, you will see that, in fact,
that happens to be the title of your new book.
Yes. Then you'll see why I was able to predict all these demonstrations and the violent opposition to Iran months before it ever took place. And that is because it is a regime that is thoroughly and completely hated by the people. And the people have reached a point now where they don't care any longer if they get arrested and tortured and even killed. And about 3 weeks ago, tens of millions of them turned out in the streets of the country, and the security forces could only stand by and watch. And there's another big demonstration scheduled for November 4th, and we'll see what happens there. But the people have given up on this regime. They don't want an Islamic Republic anymore, and they don't want these people who have oppressed them and tortured them and killed them for the last 30 years. They want to be free, and they want to have a free government. And I think they're going to get it.
Well, I take it that you think that if this is true, and maybe if it's not true, but certainly if this is true, that this may have a new catalyzing effect that would kind of put the transition over the top, and that at the end of the day that what would happen? I mean, you're not predicting democracy in Iran, I take it?
Well, you could get something approaching democracy in Iran. Why not? They have a long tradition of self-government. I mean, if you can get something approaching democracy in Iraq, it's an awful lot easier to get it in Iran. Iran had a constitution back in, when was it, 1906, which was quite progressive, and under various previous governments, Iran had something approaching equal rights for women, and fairly democratic elections.
I got your point. Let me ask you this: play devil's advocate a minute. How would this actually transpire? You still got the Revolutionary Guard; they've still got all the guns.
Yes, they do. And if you look at it that way, it'll be a contest between the people with the guns and the people with the numbers. And it's a numbers game, Fred, as far as I can tell. If you put tens of millions of people out onto the streets of the country, as happened last time, the people with the guns really can't shoot because they'll just be overwhelmed. And an awful lot of the Revolutionary Guards have really now politically gone over to the other side, and I don't think they would fire if ordered. Some of them will, but an awful lot of them won't. And the tensions within that regime right now are palpable. Look, here's the thing, which everybody in the country now knows, that the Supreme Leader is in serious medical crisis, okay? I think we can say that. He hasn't appeared in public. There hasn't been a word about him in the press.
So you think the initial information that you got from a good source that he was in the hospital in a coma is probably correct?
Yeah, I think it's probably correct.
All right.
They're certainly acting as if it's correct.
Mm-hmm.
And so people now, the whole country, all over the country, people are preparing for what they know is coming, which is a big struggle for what happens next. And I think in that struggle right now, given the circumstances, the people are very likely to win. And these guys around the regime.
Michael, can you stay with us for a minute?
Well, sure.
Come right back with you. Fred Thompson Show.
The Fred Thompson Show on Westwood One.
Well, we have Michael Ledeen with us. We're talking about Iran and the rumors that Ayatollah Khomeini is in a coma, and some rumors that he may even be dead. Michael, before we run out of time again, your new book is entitled Accomplice to Evil, right?
Right.
I can guess who evil is. Who is the accomplice?
The accomplice is the United States.
Tell us your theme.
The theme is that just as so very often in our past, we have refused to see evil when it was right in front of us, and we have refused to act against it in time, and so we are facing the most terrible possible consequences of our inaction. As we're just standing there watching this country, which has been killing Americans for 30 years and is killing Americans today, in Iraq and Afghanistan, is speeding toward nuclear weapons, and we are clearly not going to do anything to defeat them before that happens.
Well, that's something you've been talking about for a long time, and I've been talking about it for as long as I can remember.
Yeah, well, both of us used to have hair, remember?
Yeah, that's right. Look what it's done to us.
Yeah.
I've still got.
Is that
a lot,
what this is about?
Michael,
you guys just have hair
actually.
Hair envy.
Yeah, but we don't. But we don't.
The only thing we envy, Jerry.
but we don't envy each other in terms of the hair part. No. Anyway, well, let me pick up on that point. We clearly have stood by. I said on the show just a couple of days ago, well, yesterday, I guess it was maybe, and in times past, kind of a recurring theme. Iran is going to get nuclear weapons. that all this business about sanctions and all this diplomacy and so forth, and try to break it down as to why it made sense. And you look at the history, and I read your stuff, and you list all the presidents that have gone down this road, including George W. Bush,
right.
and how it's been of no avail. And there's no hope. Now Russia has just thrown it back in our face, and now China has too, just within the last week, and they're not going to do anything. The only hope is a change of regime. So what we're talking about today may be the only possible solution to Iran going nuclear. We don't know that it would solve that problem, but it's the only hope that we've got that it might solve that problem. The thing that worries me, Michael, is that, as you have often pointed out, that these revolutions invariably, I think almost always, if not always, throughout history, have had outside support. We're not giving it. Could this one be different?
Well, it seems that it could be. They're awfully close to success. And, and people argue that there were some revolutions that made it by themselves, like the Russian Revolution, which didn't have very much in the way of outside support. I mean, the French and the American ones did. We certainly could not have succeeded without outside support. And I've always felt that the Iranian revolution was unlikely to succeed without outside support, but they're proving me wrong. I mean, this revolutionary movement in Iran now is enormous and very confident and extremely disciplined. In these huge demonstrations all over the country, talking about tens of millions of people, there was no break in discipline. Nobody threw a rock at the police. Nobody shot at a security officer. They maintained discipline, held their ranks, and chanted their chants and carried their banners and stayed compact. I'm very impressed.
Michael, I guess we're compelled to say, aren't we, that not only may they pull this off without our support, they may pull this off despite us.
Yes, and I like to. There's some great line from Martin Luther King where he said, when all is said and done, we're going to remember less the attacks of our enemies than the silence of our friends. And I'm afraid that America has condemned itself to be in that category. It's an awful thing.
Do you agree that that sanctions are basically a fool's errand, or relying upon the prospect of sanctions?
I don't know of a single case in which sanctions have compelled an enemy country to change its behavior toward us. Not one case.
Do you see any prospect that the Russians or the Chinese might assist in sanctions anyway?
No.
No prospect.
Zero.
So you would agree that that this may be the only thing that would keep Iran from developing the nuclear capability?
Well, there is one other thing, of course, which is to try to blow up the nuclear facilities, and that may yet happen.
Well, Israel may do that. We'll never do that.
No, we won't do it. I think Israel will be compelled to do it if they get to a day when they are convinced and confident that if they don't do it, Iran's going to have a bomb and a missile.
And the frustrating part about this, and the American people ought to keep this in mind, if we had an ironclad deal with the Iranians tomorrow, all this effort that's being made, all of these humiliations that people like Secretary of State Clinton have gone through over the last few days, and all this big buildup about maybe the Russians will help and so forth. Well, no, we won't. If we had an ironclad deal with them, it wouldn't mean anything. So it's all a fool's errand.
Yes, it is. Every president, from Jimmy Carter through George W. Bush, has believed that he could make a deal with the Iranians. And several of them, above all Clinton and George W. Bush, thought they had made a deal with the Iranians, only to find out that they hadn't.
All right. Michael, thank you so much. Michael Ledeen, Accomplice to Evil. Appreciate you being with us.
Thanks, Fred. Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you.
Well, Michael has the...
Oh, wait a minute. Michael's not the accomplice to evil. That's his new book.
Did I say it that way?
We said Michael Ledeen, accomplice to evil. And I'm not sure he would love that.
Michael Ledeen, comma.
Semicolon.
Colon. Did I get the last word in there or not? Huh?